Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, welcome to PRIDECAST. I am your host, Tony Lopez, and on today's PRIDECAST, we have Shelby Breda. Slay, we'd love to have her here. Shelby is an absolute titan for Cosmo. She works her butt off to make everything happen behind the scenes. We love all of the work that you do. Shelby, how are you doing?
I'm doing so good. I was preparing for my study abroad in London earlier today, so I went to Starbucks and I got my little queer iced chai latte. So I'm doing really good. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you're doing study abroad for theater, right?
Yeah, studying Shakespeare in London at the Globe Theater. So I'm so thrilled about that.
That is so awesome. I'm
so
so excited for you.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
All right, let's just get right into it now. What do you identify as based on your gender and sexual orientation, if you are comfortable with sharing?
Yeah, of course. My pronouns are she, her, and I identify as a queer woman.
That's wonderful. Good to know. Good to know. We love having our queer players enter the chat here. Now, this first question is kind of a big one, so feel free to break it down into chunks for your answer. It's sort of a three-parter. What is your journey in theater and in your queer identity, and has one ever influenced the other?
Ooh, okay. So in theater, I started in like 6th grade with like the musicals when all the elementary school kids are like on the risers and you have the music teacher go like doing the dance moves in front of everyone. And at that point I was like, man, this is actually kind of really fun. So then I just like started going to school for theater, and then I didn't stop just because I found like such a love for it. I don't think one influenced the other too much until I got to college. I think being in such like an artistic and creative space with a bunch of other artistic and creative people did kind of always like create that safe space that made me feel very comfortable with myself very quickly. I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like the creativity that comes with theater somehow goes in tandem with it. I'm not sure exactly how, but being in theater and being with people who are creative and accepting, I think because everyone's so creative or everyone's so accepting of creative expression, it makes it very easy to be accepting of like other kinds of expression, which is very helpful and made me feel very safe right out of the gate.
Yeah, there is something very empowering being in a room with a bunch of artists who are so boldly themselves all of the time, because it kind of makes you think, am I being my true self? Not just for the sake of it'll make me a better storyteller, but for the sake of I gotta know me first to know anyone else. All right, this one I'm very interested in. What is your creative process? I know you act, you direct, I see you write now too. So how do you break down the stories that you want to tell?
I haven't thought about this a lot, but I think my favorite way to go about it is to think of what I want the audience to be feeling when they walk out of the theater or when they're experiencing the show that is going on stage. So if I think about what I want the audience to be feeling and what emotions I want to portray in that piece, I kind of like go from there and kind of create these characters around, or create a plot around this emotion that I want people to be feeling, and then I create the characters and everything. That's mostly for writing. With directing, it's somewhat the same, where if I'm given a scene to direct, I'm told to direct, I kind of focus on what emotions I want the audience to be feeling, and then I think, how can I make the audience feel those emotions through my direction for these actors, or in like other like technical elements. So that's what I really try to focus on. And then acting, it's kind of the same, but then it's like, how do I make them feel something by me feeling something and by me trying to get something from another person. So yeah, it's very emotion based, and I try to like start from a small little emotion and just kind of like grow around it and see like what things I can try and what different things I can try, what tactics I can use, what lines can I write that make the audience feel a certain way through the characters feeling a certain way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Next question. What are your biggest influences as a creator / storyteller? It could be an artist, it could be a story, anything, music, theater, movies, all kinds of stuff.
That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like there are certain actors that like I sort of latch onto, and I'm like, I like the way they're performing that. How do I incorporate some of their stuff into my work. For a few of them, I I love Florence Pugh. Specifically with Florence Pugh, it's like the tiny minute details that she is able to show on her face to convey something it's very interesting to me. So I try to like, I saw that and I'm like, oh, I want to take that for my acting. And then like there's a few others that I like absolutely love. I don't know the actor's name, but he was in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and he wore the purple suit and he was kind of like the ringleader for everything. I don't know.
Oh, the
Spoiler to you.
High Evolutionary.
I think so. What's his name?
Who you're talking? It's the villain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the High Evolutionary. I think is their name.
I saw his performance and I was like, what can I do from that? What can I take from his performance and put it in my performance to shape the way I act and I tell stories? There's not like one specific influence, but like when I watch stories and I read plays and stuff and I see direction, there's little things that everyone does that I'm like, I like that, I'm taking it.
You have worked on basically everything for Cosmo. You directed Open, you were in the interactive show or Scream, you were in The Author, you were in Murder at the Manor. The only one you haven't done is Love Story. We missed you for that one.
I was seeing Taylor.
You have basically been in everything, and now you're a board member. So you can kind of jump into each show if you would like to. But what challenges did you face as a creative, and how did you overcome them?
One of the biggest challenges I faced, but it was still like extremely fulfilling, and it's what made me discover that I love like theater administration, is just like working against everything. When you're a part of a production that is like built from nothing, it's the fight to like get all that stuff is so fulfilling. And then when you get it and you have like an incredible audience that you can tell them, hey, this show started from nothing. Everything you see here is built from us with no help whatsoever. This is something that we did, that we fought to have happen, and we succeeded. It's just an incredibly fulfilling feeling.
This is not just for Cosmo, but for the theater you've experienced thus far, do you feel represented, and if not, why?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna steal Amaryllis's answer on this one. I mean, like, there can always be more representation. I feel like it's been something that I've noticed very recently, and it's something that I've had to like not fight myself over, but like be like, hey, this is something you didn't realize until just now, and it's a pretty big thing. People aren't being represented, and you didn't realize that because I'm a blonde white girl. I know my place in the theater, but like because I was so like locked into that role, that I didn't realize there was like so many other things that were going on that weren't being represented. I know in my like queer identity, I feel like we're becoming better at representing the queer people and like other LGBTQIA+ people, but again, there can always be more representation. We still have to fight tooth and nail to get even a little bit of representation. Like, it happens, but the fight is so hard that it's kind of like, yeah, we succeeded, but are we gonna have to fight every single time to succeed? I don't feel like we should. It should get to a point where we don't have to, and that representation is just there.
It's not even particularly that we're fighting against hate constantly. Because a lot of these casting choices aren't made with like malice intent. It's simply like a behavioral oversight. Mm-hmm. People are used to casting a very specific way based off of a very specific appearance for very specific roles. And now that people are starting to say these roles can be played any way that we see fit or the writer sees fit, and we need to acknowledge that that is something that is happening. A lot of casting directors, especially from older generations, and even still we see younger generations struggle with it too, having to sort of unlearn the behavior of the business to get it right. All right, we have our silly question to end the show here.
So excited.
It's only fair that we ask our resident Swiftie a Swiftie question here.
Amazing.
So, if you had to give Taylor Swift concert a review, like you were writing a paper or something, what would your review for her concert be?
Oh goodness. Well, obviously 5 out of 5 stars. Would see again. If I could give it 6 out of 5, of course I would. Um, yeah, being a little theater kid going into the Taylor Swift concert is so much fun because she puts so many like technical elements into her performances that it's not just like her on stage with a guitar and a microphone. It's Let me rephrase. She puts so many cool technical and big flashy elements into her shows that when it does come time for her and a microphone and a guitar, it feels so intimate. And even though it's like it's a stadium and it's full of like thousands of people, and like you can barely see her, she's just a little speck on the stage. It feels so intimate because all of her flashy moments have now been like calmed down into this like, we're just going to sing a song together on a guitar and I'm going to talk about how much it means to me and what the lyrics mean to me and how I'm glad it can relate to you guys. So it does feel it's very exciting to see that like that's something that can happen in a stadium full of thousands and thousands of people, that she can talk and have it be just as exciting as her performing with like steam and fire coming up from the stage. So yeah, 6 out of 5 stars. So many sparkles, so many feathers.
Thank you so much for talking to us. We thank you so much for all of the work you do, especially you for Cosmo. None of this would be possible without you. We love you. Do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Keep slaying hard. You should pitch a show. I have to plug it. No, keep slaying hard. We love seeing all the work you do. We love our Cosmo family, and if you want to be a part of the Cosmo family, come and join us. We are always welcoming with open arms.
Slay. We literally are. We love all of our members so much. This has been PRIDECAST, a show by Cosmo to highlight the best and brightest of our troupe. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you again, Shelby, for joining us. Remember to make your own yes and to slay hard. Take it easy.